Hello, dear ones. I've scheduled this sacred sexuality talk for a long time, and I just haven't been able to do it because I have so much emotion around it. And there's a fantastic white Tantra teaching, which is high Tantra. It's in the notes. So if you want to just go for that, go for it. But I'm really going to talk about a foundational level for sacred sexuality. And as I speak, we also declare that women are sacred, our bodies are sacred, we are equal, we are fully sovereign beings, we are taking our place as the queens, the mothers, the creatrixes, the artists, the nurturers of this world are deeply needed right now, and the divine feminine energy is coming in like a freight train right now. So it's really amazing. And when we talk about sacred sexuality, it's kind of like, well, like we got to go back to Mary and Jesus, right? So the challenge we've had, and we know this, if we're not in a balanced relationship, it's going to hell, right? And what we've done here on planet Earth is the immature masculine is driving the bus, and the reason he's immature is he's not really being balanced out by her, right? So the toxic machismo is driving the bus. As I speak, wars are breaking out. Israel is at war with Hamas, and children and women and civilians are being surrounded, and we've had enough trauma. Basically, we're done. So as the divine feminine is affirming a whole new game, because we're going to step out of that. So when we talk about sacred sexuality, of course, the first basic thing would be safety for the feminine. Safety for the feminine. And no one on planet Earth, humanity, does this. Okay, so if you're lucky, you can get the sacred sexuality at home. You get that safe place. You create space. We create priestess space. But the reality is that as long as I've been alive, and for thousands of years, we're going to go back to Mary Magdalene, Jesus's wife. Okay, so what happened to her is a reflection of what's happened with the divine feminine. So unless the feminine is safe, feels safe, then there is no sacred sexuality. Why? Because she's the Holy Grail. She's the Shakti, right? Mary Magdalene was Jesus's wife and his Shakti, and the relationship that they had really created the electrical charge or the frequency he needed to rise and be who he was meant to be. So it's really powerful. Like feminine energy. It's like a freaking rocket launcher. This is something that we don't get on a weekend at Easter, for sure. Anyway, and I'm drinking because usually when I talk about this, I drink because it's painful. It's easier to move the energy. It's a hibiscus cooler. It's delicious. It's got a little bit of, LaCroix in there with hibiscus liqueur. Delicious. Kali Ma loves hibiscus. So I'm going to start getting into some of the stuff that's a little triggery. So hold on to your ass. And you might want to remove any children from the room. Humans have not only normalized violence against women, but we've made it a sport and entertainment forever. And in 591, Pope Gregory called Mary Magdalene a prostitute and a sinful woman. Now, and then also the men, they created a patriarchal religion. They got rid of the Gnostic Gospels. And if you're found with those, then you might be killed. Okay. So the Gospel of Mary Magdalene is a Gnostic gospel. It was literally found in the desert of Egypt in 1880 something. And she did go and study as a priestess there. My guides have told me she and Jesus basically grew up together. And he, of course, studied as a yogi all around the world and cultivated his body of light, cultivated his relationship with Source. And they married and they had 2 children. And Mary spent more time with Jesus than any of the other apostles. And now she is known as the Apostle of Apostles by Pope Francis, and she has a feast every year. So it's kind of like, whoops, we forgot to mention the feminine of the church, the one that would inherit the Christian religion. So how would things have been different if we would have had that sacred masculine, sacred feminine? The truth is in you. The kingdom of the goddess is in you. There is no sin. It's just about being off the mark. That's literally like what's in the Gospels of Mary Magdalene. She's all about unconditional love. There is no sin other than being disconnected from our source, which is definitely happening in our world right now. So I'm just going to read a little nip of the Gnostic Gospels. So the last time you saw me, I was talking about Mary Magdalene. I was strolling through the forest, and I'm like, dang, I'd really love to get a hold of one of these things. And I went to an event the next couple hours later, and this was available for like $5 for a donation, $10, I think. Hard copy Gnostic Gospels. Yeah, that's manifesting. I'm just like, I'm open, I'm vibrating, I'm asking the universe, and it literally dropped into my hands. So now we're just going to say that the ill patriarchy has basically treats women in general like prostitutes. That's pretty much what's going on here. We don't feel safe. Feminism has become a thing where we just do our best to keep ourselves from getting abused or assaulted. Like, that's feminism, right? Which basically means the masculine and feminine energies are equal, okay? So this is a really, really a nice piece here, because, this is about sort of reclamation. It's about reclamation. We really need to have reclamation for the divine feminine. And Levi, apparently, one of the apostles, he's the one. He's the one. So now, basically, Peter was bullying Mary. And Mary is thought to be the only one that actually understood Christ's teachings. She's his wife. She spends time with him. The other apostles, they were busy. They were married. They had jobs. They didn't get to spend the kind of time that Mary got to spend with him, and certainly didn't have that intimate relationship with Yeshua. So Levi actually speaks up because Peter's bullying her because she got teaching. So they're all jealous of her. That's part of the reason why she got thrown under the bus. They were jealous of her, and then they made in about 391, they made Christianity patriarchal, abusive patriarchal, bully patriarchal. Not that the church hasn't done some good things, but they've also done some really horrifying things in the name of the Lord. Okay, so Mary wept and said to Peter, "My brother Peter, what do you think? Do you think that I've made this up myself, or that I'm lying about the Savior?" Because she just shared some teachings. Levi answered and said to Peter, "Peter, you are always angry. Now I see you arguing against this woman like an adversary. If the Savior made her worthy, then who are you to reject her? Surely the Savior knows her well. Who are you to reject her? This is why he has loved her more than us. The Savior has made her worthy. This is why he has loved her more than us." Okay, so it's like, okay, they were jealous. That's basically what's going on here. Okay, men are jealous of the feminine, or the masculine is jealous of the feminine having special abilities, such as nurturing, loving. We want to be full. We want to flow. We are creativity. We are the artists. We literally make life, right? And it's not a competition. We're equal, but we're not the same. We're magical. So we cannot continue to play this silly game. And the bully is never going to compromise. the bully's just going to create more and more wars. There are very, 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 very deep, intense, bad juju type situations here on Earth that absolutely depend on the defense industry and the military industry for their sustenance. That's part of the reason why women are subjugated as well. So we're just not playing the game anymore. And we're going to rise to a higher frequency, which is what Jesus and Mary did. And they did it with sacred sexuality. I suggest we can do the same thing here, right? But you have to practice, meditation, breath. Literally, we're bringing in our body of light. It's available to everyone. What's available to Jesus and Mary? The planet was not vibrating in the same frequency as it is now. Like literally, we just have an opportunity to bring it in. And the, marriage or the frequency of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine create a circuit that literally can change the world. So we're here to expand, which is the point of Tantra, expanding our consciousness. And absolutely, there are sexual practices that help us expand our consciousness. Watch Jean's video in my notes here, White Tantra. It's literally utilizing your energy, because of course, when we in Western culture, or most of us have sex, it's a very, 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 very low level of consciousness. So you're taking the energy, you're basically throwing it out. Your energy is at the lower chakras. And this is about up and out instead of down and out. It's a much better idea. So often we get depleted. Often maybe sexuality is violent. It's kind of like fast food sex. It's terrible. It might be really good when you're eating it. Like, this is delicious. It's got a lot of grease in it. And you just shove it in there, literally, right? And then later you're like, damn, I have a stomach ache, or that wasn't a really good idea, right? That wasn't a good choice. And the thing about that men don't get is, hookup sex. Okay, great. I mean, I'm all for it. If it's consensual adults, do whatever you want, right? However, please know, masculine, that the feminine ends up holding the energy of whatever the product of the interaction was. So we hold that energy in our body. And sometimes if, it's not good. So we have a lot of distortions in our second and third chakra because of this. So the goal would be for both partners to have a certain level of realization so they can literally create sex magic and create peace on earth. That's where we're going to do it. It's going to be fun. There's going to be dancing. And we've got the sacred masculine that's coming in to support us. And, that's what the sacred masculine's here. Like, it's here. He's here. And we're going to create him. And the feminine has to inspire that, because he's not going to hold safe space for what he doesn't understand or know about, right? We're going to stand up and just own our divinity. This is a embodied awakening process. We are literally waking up from the inside out. You are not your thoughts. You're not your feelings. You're not your judgments. You're not any of that. You're a divine being. Those things can inform you, but that's not who we are. Who we are is much bigger. The matrix is real. And I'm going to probably I'm going to be talking a little bit more about sacred sexuality. And the big thing is too, with all of this that the sacred feminine has suffered, which is extensive, or the trauma. Men's, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter what kind of body you have or what gender identity you have or who you want to have sex with. None of that matters. We've literally all been traumatized by the bully consciousness, which is now being deleted from the planet. So it's really important to have faith. Be careful what you consume. Be careful, whether that be news, food, etc. Yeah, like pay attention to who you have sex with. That's like an important thing. It's a sacred act, right? If you actually really want to get into Tantra, it's about really developing a meditation practice that's solid and finding who you really are, because we're really like awakening up to who we really are. It's not like you have to get somewhere or accomplish something. It's not like anything you have to go out here and get. It's already in you. So that's it. Sacred sexuality, the kingdom of the goddess is in you. I invite you to check out White Tantra, right down there in the notes. Maybe one day I'll talk about it, about the practices, which is really the same as Tantra, the Gnostic practices of sexuality that I'm sure that Jesus and Mary did to rise up, because back then it was really rough for people. I mean, like, people were getting, executed left and right. So it was rough. I mean, it happened to Jesus, right? So control, abuse structures are no longer available on this planet, and literally things are shifting. We've got to break some eggs to make a cake. There's going to be some suffering, and suffering is optional to a certain degree, but it's all part of a perfectly divine orchestrated situation. And ultimately, we are absolutely awakening. And Mary Magdalene was absolutely Jesus's wife, in my opinion. And that's my opinion. What I really want to know is, what do you think? And if you're watching this, please leave me a note. Okay. I love you, and tits up. We got this.